Hey, it appears Tyler here. I just wanted to get a quick message out to you. So, I was reading this book. Okay, go stop. There we go. Sorry. Um, Reading this book, and it's called "Do Work" by Stephen Pressfield. If you haven't read it, you should really read this book. It's fantastic. And I just want to get this out there. It's a quick video about just doing. This one thing that I'm seeing a lot of agents talk about, and it's like the hardest thing to do, and the hardest thing to do in real estate really is getting to one. Getting to one of anything is super hard. Whether you're just getting started, whether you're in the business, getting that first step in changing anything is the hardest thing, right? And there's a whole lot of reasons for that. And if you want to know what all the reasons are, if you're really into psychology and like getting shit done in your business, you should read this book. But like basically the metaphor he uses, and I just love it, so I wanted to put it in here. Maybe Kelvin could put graphic on the screen here, but it's standing up night and a dragon, right? And every time you make a commitment to something new in your business, there's just two things. There's the dragon and you with your sword. That's it. Period. Dragon and you. And are you going to do the work to slay the dragon or not? Right? Are you going to get to one? It's not focusing on one thing. I'm not really a fan of like the one number, like that Gary Keller stuff. It's good for some. I'm not a fan of it. But what I'm a fan of is this idea of like getting to one and then getting to two and then getting to 10 and then getting to 100, right? It's a different type of one, right? The Gary Keller get to one is like focus on the one priority in your business. I think that's it's a little simplification. You guys know that you have transaction management. How can you improve the process of your transaction communication? How can you do that? Well, you can do that with your lead site. You can do that with videos. You can do that with automated emails. Like what if you made a video of the 5 things that always happen in a transaction? You put those videos on the video squeeze page right here, right? And then in your CRM or in your transaction management system, you sent an email that said, hey, here's a video explaining this, here's an email explaining this, and that gets sent out every time, right? That would improve your referrals, and you'd get more referrals because you would be the most badass agent in your area, right? But most people aren't doing that, right? And I think the Keller thing of like the one thing, it oversimplifies it because you have transactions, you have leads, you have marketing, you have conversion, you have all these things, and I think focusing on one thing is a bit simplified. I like this idea of just getting to one. So for example, like if you're in real estate and you want to increase your leads, well, the way you think of that is pillars, right? So let's say you have a pillar of referrals coming in, right? You've been in the business. You want to get people coming to you from ads or from blogs or from SEO. Well, the hardest thing to do is to get your first SEO lead. Getting your 10th one is so much easier, right? The hardest thing is getting that first one. So what I do is I focus on getting to one as quickly as possible. So you could get a lead site, fill out I would go ridiculous and fill out like 25 Instafarm pages. I would share them all over social media. I would try to get 5 contractors that I've referred business to link to my Instafarm pages, and I'd fill them out 100%, right? Then you're gonna start ranking, right? And that's getting to one. And then you start adding a second pillar, maybe like Facebook ads or blogging, and you can then start to get to one in that way, right? The hardest thing to do with blogging is getting that first lead. The hardest thing with Facebook ad is getting that first lead. And a lot of people, it may take a month, it may take 3 months, and a lot of people quit before them, right? And that's where the barrier to entry is. Everyone in real estate says there's no barrier to entry, and that's BS. The barrier to entry is getting to one. It's the hardest thing, right? Are you going to slay the dragon, or is the dragon going to slay you? And most of you are going to let the dragon slay you, right? So in our own business, we heard people slowing down. So last week, what we do, right? We 4x our server capacity. Today we're shipping this blog template thing that's going to make our sites go from having 200 scripts down to having 7. Right, we're taking massive action. We're slaying huge dragons, and then the next day we're going to refactor the CSS, and then we're going to keep improving the site load speed and slay those dragons. Right, just keep doing it. Right, we had people wanting to integrate with tons of CRM, so we built a webhook into Paths that now lets you integrate with like 100+ CRMs. We did that last week Thursday. We roll it on all the sites. So you keep slaying, and the second you take that action. The point of the book is that you should limit yourself to reading 3 books about any subject before taking action, Because the second you take even the smallest action, the second you build a webhook that integrates a lead site into 100 plus CRMs, it integrates into yours. You should get a lead site, no sign up fees. Check out the pricing link. The second you take that action, you learn the next action, right? It's like climbing a mountain, and like every time you take a step, you can see more of the mountain and more underneath you, so you have more knowledge and you have more insight into what you should build. So many people start at the bottom of the mountain and they're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and it's all hypothetical. And the second you take your first step, you realize everything you thought was wrong. There's this stat in, it's the Manager book. Book is that? It's The Effective Manager by Mark Horstmatt. The Effective Manager by Mark Horstmatt. I read on iBooks now. Like, you should read on iBooks, really cool. And the reason that what he says is you're wrong 70% of the time. Right, there's this study done in the 90s, and you're basically wrong 70% of the time. So if you're wrong 70% of the time, and you just accept that as a fact without challenging it, it might impact the amount of action you do versus the amount of thinking you do. Because if you just do thinking, you're going to build assumptions off of the wrong assumptions 70% of the time. Where if you take the action, you get feedback, which then makes your next action a little bit smarter. How you win. Anyway, hope you found something useful here. Kelvin's coming up with a cool video soon. I'm gonna peace out here. Go check out lead sites and go slay those dragons. See ya.